Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, and welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Appreciate everybody being in here. And first off, let's attack the elephant in the room. Yes, I am wearing my Kansas State shirt. Yes, I am wearing my Kansas State colors. Yes, I am showing my fandom. And it isn't because that I believe Kansas State is going to go to Utah and win. It isn't because I am overly excited about watching my team play against Utah. I'm not. And also, I've said this many times, we don't need chaos for the Big 12. So all I'm doing is saying some solidarity to the squad, letting them know, hey, man, go fight. Go show up. Don't roll over. Just show, for the lack of better words, show some balls and go fight Utah. Again, I don't think they're going to win. Utah's better than they are. This is a terrible matchup, but that doesn't mean you got to lay down like they did last week. So, Utah fans, I'm not rooting against you. It's more of me just backing my school, my team, and just saying, come on, guys. It's okay to go play hard. Go fight. Go show up in a game that nobody thinks you can win, including myself. Just show up. That's all it is. So if you take it personal, oh well, who cares? It is what it is. Appreciate you guys, man. This is the game of the week. BYU traveling to Cincinnati. We're going to break that down for you. But before we do, again, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments, and always hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So, there's a couple of intriguing games. Not necessarily. It's a good weekend, in my opinion. I picked two games to talk about, just a quick bit. The KU against Iowa State game, it's intriguing to me because KU's trying to get to bowl eligibility. They're not going to beat Utah next week. At least I don't think. So they got to win this game to get bowl eligible. And if they're not bowl eligible for the second year in a row, it is a colossal failure at KU. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. From what they were supposed to do last year and then didn't do and didn't become bowl eligible, and then to do it again this year and to fall on your face. And I know some people are going to say, well, getting to a bowl game doesn't mean anything. Yeah, for a program like KU, it does. I'm sorry. They need to be bowl eligible every single year. If you're trying to build how do you build something if you can't get bowl eligible? So that's what they're fighting. They got to win this week. For Iowa State, it's more of a, can you break out of the funk that you've been in for over a month? Like, can you break out of it? And I know you won at TCU a couple weeks ago, but, I mean, let's just be honest. You didn't play well in the game. Just TCU just said they didn't want it either. So we'll see what happens this week. We will see what happens in this game. Should be very interesting. Moving on, TCU, are they going to actually show up at Houston? Are they going to play, or have they cashed it in? We'll find out. Houston, on the other hand, they got a lot to play for. They're not going to make the college football playoff. They could still make it to, well, I say that. I mean, they could make it to Arlington. They could win a game. They could finish in whatever the tiebreaker scenario is, get to the Big 12 championship game, and they could win it. So who knows? Who knows? But they have an opportunity to win 10 games this year. I think it's easy to say that Houston is ahead of schedule on where they are currently at. But how do they handle success? Like last time we saw Houston play or Houston be ranked and people, talking this highly of Houston, they lost the game to West Virginia. So how do you handle that? Can you manage, they're ranked, they're in the college football playoff, they got an opportunity to win 10 games. Hopefully it's a learning lesson from the last time you didn't handle success. Can you do it this time? So we'll see. But the game of the week is BYU traveling to Cincinnati. So, for BYU, for obvious reasons, look, they're They're right on the cusp of being in the college football playoff. If you ask me, I think they're getting hosed out of this thing again. But they're right there on the cusp. So they just got to keep winning and just see where the chips fall. Just see where the chips fall, and then teams can start making a case. But they have an opportunity to get into the college football playoff. They're right there, and definitely an opportunity to get to Arlington if they win the last two. For Cincinnati, same thing. They're trying to keep their Big 12 title hopes alive. It's taken a hit the last couple of weeks. And also, I don't know if their reputation has taken a hit, but more of people being right about them, saying, hey, they haven't really played, the top tier competition within the Big 12. And once they start doing that, they're going to start to lose. Well, they've started doing that, and they've started to lose. So can they snatch back a little bit of respectability and, again, still keep their hopes on getting to the Big 12 title game alive? Because they are alive if they win this game. So a lot to look at in this game. Let's talk about the keys to victory. First of all, who's going to control the line of scrimmage? We talk about it each and every week. To me, that advantage is BYU. Both teams run football well. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you look at Cincinnati, how they can control the ball on the ground, including with their quarterback. BYU does the same thing. But the difference is I think LJ Martin is even more healthy now, and he's the best running back in the conference. If he's running the football well, advantage BYU. But here's one thing. BYU's run defense is pretty good, and that's where I think the difference is. While Cincinnati can run it, they're not great at stopping the run. While BYU runs the ball as well, they can stop the run. So that, to me, is where I think the difference in the football, at least on the line of scrimmage, that's where I think the difference is. One part about this, the last three games, teams have been running the football on Cincinnati for 192 yards a game. That's what teams have averaged over the last three. That's not a great trend to be going in that direction. 192 yards is a ton of yards on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. And that's what Cincinnati has done. Their defense has done in the last three games. And now you get BYU coming to town. LJ Martin looking a little bit more healthy. They want to run the football. They want to be physical. Can you stop it? Last week against Arizona, they couldn't stop it. BYU's running attack, in my opinion, and in most people's opinion, is better than a good running attack from Arizona, because Arizona can run the football, ladies and gentlemen. Well, so can BYU. So we'll see. Now, as far as quarterback play, Brendan Sorsby was bad at Utah. He was worse against Arizona. That is not the trend that you want to have happening when you're trying to upset somebody, is that your quarterback is starting to go in the tank. We're starting to see that. And I know Cincinnati fans may disagree, but I'm not sure how you can, because you watched it. He didn't play good against Utah. We know that. Now, I'm not saying he was the reason they lost the game. Listen to what I'm saying. He played bad. He did. And then against Arizona, he played worse. He did. Again, that doesn't mean he's the reason they lost, but he didn't play good. Two things can be true, and that is true. He's got to turn it around. You can't have your quarterback playing subpar football trying to upset one of the better teams in the country that has a really good defense. That's just not a recipe to winning, regardless of what you do. It's not a good recipe to winning. BYU, Bear Bachmeier, outside of the Tech game, the guy's been rock solid all year. For a freshman quarterback, his throwing has gotten better and better and better each and every week. Last week, he carved up TCU, 296 yards. He was 23 for 33, and he's been steady. He's been steady. Now, the atmosphere is going to be raucous, but I don't think it's going to be any more raucous than what it was when he went to Lubbock, Texas. And that's not a knocking Cincinnati. If you want to put him on equal playing field, fine. I'm just saying he's not going to be walking into an atmosphere that's worse than what he did in Lubbock. It'll be a crazy, crazy atmosphere that he's playing against at Cincinnati on Saturday. But he's been through it. And experience is part of this. So, first of all, the advantage, I give it to BYU. But I just think he's playing better football at the right time. He's playing better football at the right time, which is key for BYU. It's key for anybody. Your quarterback playing well down the stretch. He is. We'll see. I give them the advantage. Special teams, neither team is special, in special teams. They're not. They don't do anything crazy. As long as you don't turn the ball over and you can try to win some of that hidden yardage, that, always is one of the intangibles to winning a football game. We talk about it each and every week. Can you be special in special teams? And maybe somebody can. We'll see. But neither team really is. But again, the hidden yardage, what can your coverage units do? What's your punter going to do? Can he down balls inside the 20, inside the 10? We'll see how that goes. And then, other than the other intangibles, the turnover margin that I talk about each and every week, people, BYU's 11th in the country at plus 0.9 a game as far as turnover margin. So they're doing well. They're doing well. Cincinnati, 79th at minus 0.1 a game. So there's a huge difference there. And, I didn't look. A lot of times the turnover battle wins a game. That's why I always say physicality more often than not can win you a football game, the more physical football team. But I watched the game last week, speaking of Kansas State. Oklahoma State was clearly the more physical football team in that game. But they had 5 turnovers. Kansas State wins. That's where the difference comes in. So while one team may be physical, if the other one's going to turn it over, you're giving yourself an opportunity to be in, and not only be in the game, but also to win the game. So the turnover battle in every game is always key, but I'm giving you the stats. BYU's 11th in the country. Cincinnati is 79th. So we'll see how that goes. As far as who I think is going to win, look, BYU's the more physical team. They just are. They're the more physical team. And if LJ Martin, he appears to be healthy. He's the best back in the conference, in my opinion. If he's healthy, and he looked healthy last week, we'll see. But again, that was against the TCU team that has quit. Cincinnati hasn't quit. They haven't played well the last couple of weeks, but they haven't quit, not even in the slightest. So it'll be a different challenge, but teams have been able to get after Cincinnati on the ground. Look, Cincinnati's going to be at home. That matters. That home field advantage and how Nypert Stadium is crazy. That stadium gets wild. Those fans get after it. So expect a raucous atmosphere. They're trying to prove, like I mentioned before, that the early success that they had wasn't a fluke, that they are a good football team, that they can, and demand some respect versus, well, the light schedule is how we got here. It's an intriguing situation, but it's also a reality. It is how they got here. Winning this game changes all of that. That's all I'm saying. You can, however you get here, okay, fine. That's why you're here. But you know what? If you want to stay in the conversation, and I know Cincinnati and their fans and everybody involved wants to stay in that conversation, you got to win this football game. Period. End of story. Otherwise, it is what it is, what everybody said. So got to be able to figure out a way to move forward there. But who's going to win the game? BYU's the better team. BYU's got more to play for, and I think BYU wins. I think they win 34-23. I think it's a hard-fought game, but I think it gets away from Cincinnati in the second half. I think BYU's just too strong for them up front on both sides of the football. They can get after your quarterback. They can stop you from running for the most part, but more importantly, they can run the football, and they're going to keep running the football, get themselves in third and short situations, and if they can continue to do that, they'll convert enough and then wear Cincinnati down. That's how I see the game going. You guys, make sure you let me know what you guys think. I think it's going to be a good football game, an important football game for the conference and for both teams. So appreciate you guys, man. Thank you again. It was a good week. Next week should be even better. Last week of the season. So you guys have fun on Saturday. A lot of games going on. Make sure you tune in. We will be back to you. Nothing tomorrow, but on Sunday, we will be back again. So I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.